see about overview of construction sector. So first of all, we have to see what is the role of civil engineers in infrastructure development. We know engineers have always played vital role in developing a nation, the way of life and the standard of living. Now the civil engineers, they are responsible for the well-being of entire population through development of water treatment, wastewater treatment, air pollution control, designing the roads, designing the dams, buildings, bridges, etc. So from constructing bridges, highways, to exploring the vast earth beneath us, engineers, they are helping to keep our nation moving as well as they are keeping it safe. If we talk about the construction industry and its development, so construction industry is one of the major sector of the economy and which is receiving the increasing demand in the emerging nations in the form of construction. Now it is an industry which is still present in the developmental stage. So the construction is going to contribute for the economic development by satisfying some of the basic objectives of the development like output generation, employment creation, income generation, and then its redistribution. This construction industry, it plays a major role in satisfying the basic physical, social needs. It may include providing the shelter, infrastructure, and consumer goods. Construction, it will require goods and services from other industries. So development of construction industry will also simulate these ancillary industries. This will further help for the economic growth. Now the infrastructural services will contribute to the nation's GDP. They will also simulate development of other industries. It in turn will contribute directly or indirectly to the economical growth. Construction's contribution to employment creation is parallel to its contribution to output generation. Means it has a major role in providing employment opportunities to all sorts of people, skilled, unskilled, both. Since the construction industry as a whole is largely made up of small firms, it also provides entrepreneurial opportunities for many small scale business and it thereby is helping to redistribute the income. Construction, it plays vital role in economic growth and development. It is important in terms of satisfying the physical and social needs. In that, very important is the shelter, which is one of the basic need of the human beings. It is also closely related to society's need for shelter. It is also providing basic infrastructural services like water supply, waste disposal, power generation, transportation sector, and communication network. It also actively helps in community development, thereby establishing various infrastructural, institutional, commercial, and manufacturing services. Construction industry creates physical facilities which are required to meet various social needs. Therefore, construction industry has a very important impact on social and economical growth as well as development of the nation. Now, what are the components of the infrastructure? Now, infrastructure is the basic physical and organizational structure necessary for operation of a society or enterprise or for the services and the facilities which are necessary for economy to function. Therefore, infrastructure can be defined as physical components of interrelated systems providing commodities, and services that are essential to enable, sustain, and enhance the social living conditions. This term infrastructure, it physically refers to the technical structures which will support the society. So it includes network of roads, water supply system, sewer system, electrical grids, telecommunication network, etc. Infrastructural facilities, then the production of goods and services, and the distribution of finished goods to the market, as well as the social services such as hospitals, then schools, etc. These all, whole and soul, they are going to lead for the development of the nation. If we take example of roads, they are going to provide or they are going to ease the transport of raw materials from factories, from their place of origin to factories, then transport of finished goods from factories to doorstep of customers. Infrastructure, it is generally, its general definition can be, it is a set of interconnected structural elements that provide a framework supporting an entire structure of the development. It is an important term for judging a country's or region's development. Now, the term hard infrastructure, it refers to the large physical networks that are necessary for functioning of modern industrial nation. So it will include transportation infrastructure, energy sector, water management, communication network, and solid waste management. Term soft infrastructure, it refers to all institutions which are required to maintain economic, health, cultural, and social standards of the country. It will include financial systems, educational system, healthcare, then government or administrative services, law enforcement services, as well as the emergency services. We can classify the construction industry into different types. So classification, if it is based upon size, means how much is the investment, then it can be, if the investment is less than 1 crore, it is a small scale construction industry. Investment between 1 crore to 100 crores, it will be called medium scale industry. And if investment is more than 100 crores, it will be called large scale industry. Now, based upon the ownership, the construction company can be private. So it will include private promoters, investors. So here profit maximization is important and better returns are possible. And second is the public sector industry. So here more than 51% is by the state government, or we can say there are more shares are under the government control. Then comes joint sector, means having the ownership distributed between the private, public sector, or the institutional sector firms. Then come military organization or the armed forces. So there are also different construction activities done under the armed forces, especially military, army, or air force. Military, air force, or navy. Sorry. Then classification of construction industry based upon its use. So it can be residential constructions, commercial centers, industrial buildings, or utility services. So utility services means road networks, telecommunication networks, sewer lines, water supply network, all comes under the utility system. Classification of construction industry can be based upon the activity. So that can be the industrial activity or non-industrial activity. Industrial activity means it includes production of the goods and services. Non-industrial activities, it will include, they are going to provide benefit to the society in the form of healthcare, educational institutes, irrigation, soil conservation methods, pollution control measures, construction of highways, water supply network, etc. Then classification based upon the nature. So it can be light construction activities, heavy construction activities, or industrial construction works. Classification of industry can be based upon the location. So it can be construction industry bound within the nation or construction industry having international or overseas projects. What is the role of construction sector in economic development? Now, construction is considered as the largest industry in India after the agriculture. it has now become integral part of the nation's economy. Also, it has a substantial part in the economic development as well as investment. Now, construction it is bound for the growth on account of industrialization, urbanization, economic development, and people raising the expectations for improved quality of living. Construction contributes about 40% to 50% of India's capital expenditure. So this more than 50% of India's expenditure is spent on various sectors such as construction of highways, roads, railways, energy production, airports, irrigation system, etc. It employs about, so there is a round figure of it is providing employment to about 31.46 million personnels. It compromises both of skilled and unskilled workers. So it will include technicians, foremen, clerical staffs, engineers, etc. So overall, what is coming under the construction industry? Now to keep the pace with the projected high growth rate of Indian economy and new policy measures due to industrial reforms and resource mobilization, it is all requiring a need for new infrastructure. Now, construction industry has been witnessed to a strong growth wave powered by large spends on housing, roads, ports, water supply, rail, then transport and airport development. The most significant criteria for continued growth rate of an economy is therefore rest on the provision of quality infrastructure. Now, construction industry in India. Now, construction industry is making a significant contribution. It is making about 11% of national's gross development program. So, gross development product means GDP. So, it counts about 11% of national GDP. Now, you can see after independence, there was a need for industrial and infrastructural development in India, and this led to the foundation stone for construction, architectural and engineering services. In first 5-year plan, there was separate provision for construction of civil works, and it was about 50% of total annual budget. During last 50 years, Indian construction has accounted for 40% of the total development. So more than 40% of the investment was made for the development of the infrastructure. If we'll see with the figures, with the help of the previous 5 years development plan, in the first 5-year development plan, there was target was 2.1% GDP and achieved was more. It was 3.6%. If we'll see in the second, it was 4.5 was the target, achieved was 4.21. In third, that is in 1961 to 66, this 5-year plan, target GDP was 5.6, achieved was 2.72. In fourth year, it was 5.7% was the targeted GDP, achieved was 2.05. In fifth 5-year plan, that is from 74 to 79, target was 4.4, achieved was higher, 4.83. In next sixth 5-year plan, target was 5.2 and achieved was more, 5.54. In seventh 5-year development plan, that is from 85 to 90, target was 5 and the achieved GDP was 6.02 with the help of construction. In the 8th 5-year plan, the targeted GDP was 5.6, achievement was 6.68. In 9th plan, it was 6.5, achieved was 5.55. In 10th, it was 8, achieved was 7.8. In 11th, it was 9 and achieved was 7.9. In the 12th, projected was 9. The results, they are not included here. So if we'll see about this recent 12th 5-year plan, government in India, so they have taken the initiative of faster, sustainable and more inclusive growth. So they are targeting to build infrastructure at the unprecedented scale with the investment of nearly 41 lakh crores. This was a figure from the Planning Commission report of 2012 to 17 5-year plan. Now, Planning Commission, they proposed investment of 1 trillion US dollars in the 12th 5-year plan, which was double than the 11th 5-year plan. And the results have shown they were able to achieve the target. Now, if we'll see sector-wise distribution of this investment, so the infrastructure investment major was on the power sector, then another was in the telecom sector, there was in the irrigation sector. In power sector, it was about 31%. In telecom sector, it was about 25%. For irrigation, it was about 10%. For railways, it was about 7%. For roads, bridges, it was 12%. Oil and gas lines, it was 6%. For water supply, 4%. For storage, it was 1%. For ports construction, it was 2%. And for airport construction, it was 2%. These all figures are available from the Planning Commission report for the 12th 5-year plan proposed for 12 to 17. Again, the sector-wise growth rates. So here we can see every time there was the growth targets for the 12th 5-year plan. So this was the first blue line was shown that it was the target, and red line it was shown as the achieved one. In the overall GDP, when only construction industry is considered, 9% was the target for the contribution of the civil engineering in the GDP, and achieved was 9.5. So more than expected target has been achieved from the construction sector point of view. Then another sector is the manufacturing sector, then electronics, gas, water distribution, then trade, hotel management sector. In construction, we can see the target was 10, but achieved was 11. So more than a targeted percent was achieved by the construction sector. So there are different sectors which are going to contribute for the overall GDP. So the sectors are agriculture, mining, manufacturing, oil and gas, construction, then trade and commerce, real estate and business or finance, personal services. They all contribute to total national GDP.